Buttonholes can seem intimidating, but they don't have to be. I will show you exactly how to use the one-step buttonhole on your sewing machine for a clean, professional finish every time. So let's get started. These are buttonhole feet. Your machine may have one that is slightly different in appearance, but they all do the same job. This back section here is the button guide plate where you place your button so that your sewing machine knows the exact size buttonhole to make. All you need to do is pull it in and out to adjust it to the size of your button. So to insert your button, pull the plate out, put your button on the inside and push the plate back in so that your button is completely snug. Now we can move on to the sewing machine. Now you need to attach your buttonhole foot to your sewing machine in the same manner as you would any of your other feet. On my machine I have a little lever at the back, but your machine may be a clip-on machine. However you change your presser feet, do that now to attach your buttonhole foot. On your buttonhole foot you will have a little bar across it towards the front, and that is going to be the section that you are going to insert into the shank. If you need a little bit more space to get your buttonhole foot underneath, you can lift your presser foot lever to raise the shank a little bit higher, and then you can lower it over the bar and it just clips in. Now let's place our thread underneath the buttonhole foot because we don't want this to get in the way of our stitches. So simply rotate your hand wheel towards you so that it catches the bottom bobbin thread, and then you can just take a scissor or a ruler and slide it underneath so that the thread gets pulled under. Another important step in the buttonhole making process is you need to pull down the lever that is on the side of the buttonhole, and it is normally on the left hand side. Pull it down as much as it can go, and it needs to be resting behind the first stop on your buttonhole foot. This is telling your sewing machine that this is the forwardmost that you want it to be stitching your button. When your sewing machine starts stitching, there will be another stop towards the back of the buttonhole, and this lever, once it hits the stop towards the back of your buttonhole foot, it's telling your sewing machine, okay, this is now where you need to stop. That's it, let's go back to the front. Your sewing machine may have a couple of different types of buttonholes that you can sew. Mine has quite a large range of buttonholes, and this is only for the different types of fabrics. So if you're stitching a buttonhole on stretchy fabrics, on woven fabric, thick fabrics, thin fabrics, there's a whole variety of buttonholes that you can stitch depending on the type of fabric you are working with. You can also play around with the width and length of your stitches on your buttonhole. And the best way to test your buttonhole, or any other stitches for that matter, is to actually test it on cut-offs from the project where you're going to be applying the buttonhole. That is going to be showing you the most correct way that your buttonhole is going to come out for the project. Normally projects use interfacing as well when you're creating any button plackets or button stands. So make sure that you are also applying a bit of interfacing to your scrap piece to test on. If you're working from a pattern, normally the buttonholes are marked on the pattern pieces already just for you to transfer them over to your fabric. So make sure that you pass those markings over before you go stitch your buttonholes on the sewing machine. Today I'm not using any specific pattern, I'm just showing you an example, so I'm just going to mark my fabric using a piece of chalk and a ruler. Because my machine knows the size of the button that I am using and knows where it needs to start and stop, all I'm going to be doing is just drawing a straight line, which is what I want my sewing machine to follow, and I'm just marking a line across, which is to show me which is the starting point so that I can lower my needle into my fabric. This over here is where I want the length of my buttonhole to go across, and this here is going to be the starting point. On the buttonhole foot, you will see there are little grooves on it, which is going to help you to align this starting point with all of those grooves on the buttonhole. Slip your fabric underneath and try to center it between all of those grooves. Once you have the markings on your fabric centered with the grooves on your buttonhole foot, all you need to do is lower your needle into your fabric, put your presser foot down and start sewing. And now we have a perfect buttonhole. All we need to do now is open up this hole so that we can actually make it a functional buttonhole. Now all you need to open up your buttonhole is a pin and a seam ripper. Take a pin and put it at the end of one side of your buttonhole, and all it's doing is serving as a stop, so that when you put your seam ripper through, it will stop your seam ripper from cutting all those stitches at the end, and in other words destroying your buttonhole. And that's it, a clean, professional one-step buttonhole. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, and that's it from me today. Bye for now.